I'm not a racist. And you guys know that this is a very common phrase that a lot of white people use a lot of times. A lot of you white people tend to be very defensive when they tell you that you're a racist. That's even what makes you a racist, trying to even defend the fact that you're not a racist because you don't want to do the right thing or because you think you can just say whatever word from your mouth to me and I have to just put up with it. Some black people suffer from identity crisis, and those black people, they don't really understand themselves. So you can say certain things around them and do certain things around them, and they might not really understand it. But it doesn't mean that every black person will put up with it. Hey guys, welcome to Analysis with Janet. Here you're free to share your thoughts, your opinion, and whatever thing we're talking about, but always remember to be polite as you do that. Today we're going to be talking about I'm not a racist. To defend it with things like, oh, I have a black friend, I have a black colleague, I date black people, so that doesn't make me a racist. When a black person tells you that if you're doing this or saying this is a racist thing, don't tell that black person, I'm not a racist because I have black friends or because I date black people or because I have black colleagues. And I'm like, let me tell you something. Do I look like your black friend? Do I look like your black partner that you're dating? Do I look like your black colleague at work? No, I don't. And because I don't look like those black people in your life, that means I have the right to tell you how I want you to treat me. Yeah, you might treat those people in that way, and they don't complain and they put up with it and they tell you know what, it's not a big deal, it's not a problem. But me, this is my life. And in my life, I have control over it. And I decide the way I want people to treat me and the way I want people to address me and the things I want white people to say or do around me. And you tell me you're not a racist because you have black friends and white friends. That is very, very, very disrespectful. Because I tell you something, we all are humans and we all set policies in our lives, how we want our lives to look like. We all decide how we want people to treat us, how we want people to react to us, what people should say to us, and what people should say, not do or say in front of us. We all have that. So as an individual, I have the right to tell you as a white person that saying this word, doing this thing, sounds racist to me. And it's not your job to defend it. It's your job to stop. Because to be honest, I appreciate white people that when you tell them that, you know what, this word or this thing is a racist to me, and they'll be like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to say it again. I'm not going to do it around you. I respect white people like that. For me, those are the people that I see not to be racist because you know why? You understand. But know what I hate the most is when you tell a white person that you cannot say this or you cannot do this next to me. And then that white person turns around and tells you how, oh, you know what? I have black friends. I have white friends. I date black people. I have black colleagues, so I cannot be racist because I say this all the time to my black friends. I say this all the time to my black colleagues. I say this all the time to my black partner. And they don't complain. And I'm like, do I look like them? Am I them? I'm not them. They don't complain doesn't mean every black person is not going to complain. They don't complain means every black person is going to accept it. Let me tell you something. We all have our lives and we all live our lives the way it suits us, the way we feel comfortable, the way we feel pleased with. You might have a black friend or a black colleague or a black partner and they don't care about racism. You say a lot of racial things and you guys joke about it or laugh about it. Doesn't mean every black person out there is going to joke about it or laugh about it. You have to understand that there's a limit. There is a limit. And that limit, you need to respect it. And if I tell you to respect it and you tell me you're not a racist because you're not going to respect it, that is irritating. That is disrespectful. And that's even what makes you a racist, trying to even defend the fact that you're not a racist because you don't want to do the right thing or because you think you can just say whatever word from your mouth to me and I have to just put up with it. Let me tell you something, white people. I want to explain this. There are black people that suffer from identity crisis, and that had to do with the fact that blacks were being colonized, apartheid, segregation, slavery. It created aftermath trauma, and that aftermath trauma, one of it was identity crisis that black people had to deal with. Yes, some black people suffer from identity crisis, and those black people, they don't really understand themselves. So you can say certain things around them and do certain things around them, and they might not really understand it. But it doesn't mean that every black person will put up with it. So you might have a black friend, a black colleague, a black partner that is suffering from identity crisis. And I always say it's often when people suffer from identity crisis, they tend to reflect their identity through another identity. Yes. That's the thing. Yes, they tend to reflect their identity through another identity. I'm not saying that white people don't suffer from identity crisis. We have seen white people that have decided to become all black. Wait, we have a story of the air hostess, the German air hostess that decided to become a black woman. She's suffering from identity crisis. She tries to be like a black. That is identity crisis. Black people too do suffer from it. And you might have a black friend or a black colleague or a black partner that suffers from identity crisis, which means that you might say a lot of things or do certain things in front of them and they might not really care, or it might not really matter that much to them. But doesn't mean that every black person that you go out there, you can say those things or do those things around them and expect them to be like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. Because I tell you something, you have to understand something. We black people, we have gone through a lot. There's aftermath trauma in racism. And I keep saying that, and I hope, and I keep saying this, I hope I make a video about aftermath trauma of racism. I hope I make a video to really talk about it, because it's a very interesting topic that a lot of black people don't really venture into. Yes, there is aftermath trauma in racism, and I didn't even know it until when I migrated to Sweden and my family got reached out upon, and I started reading a lot and dealing with it, and I started seeing that there's aftermath trauma, how we see ourselves, words that can trigger me. There are certain words that when I migrated to Sweden, a Swede could use it on me and it would not even matter. But today, if a Swedish person uses that word on me, it reminds me of a lot of things. I'm very honest, it reminds me of a lot of things because of what my family has gone through in Sweden, because of what my family is going through in Sweden. So when I see you as a Swede and I tell you that don't use this word or don't say this thing, and you tell me you're not a racist because you have the right to do it, or because you say it to other people and they accept it, you don't know what I'm going through in your country. You don't know what I've gone through in your country. You don't know what that word means to me. You don't know what that word is triggering inside of me. Yes, I might not talk about the racism, I might not talk about some of the things I go through, but it doesn't mean that. So if I tell you that don't use this word, or this word is a racial word, or this thing of yours is a racist thing, don't tell me, oh, I'm not a racist for doing this. No, you are a racist because you're trying to defend it. Let me tell you something. We all are humans, and we all have different things that trigger us. The thing that might trigger me might not trigger another person, and the thing that might trigger another person might not even trigger me. That's the thing about life, and that has to do because it has to do with our experience. Our experience in life has made us to have different triggers about different things. So you might say a racist thing to somebody, and someone will laugh, a black person will laugh about it, and you might go say it to another black person, and that other black person will not laugh. It doesn't mean that you're not a racist. You have to understand the dynamics. This is it. That person has laughed about it. That person has another experience as a black person. This other person hasn't laughed about it. This other person hasn't seen it as a joke. On the contrary, this other person has seen it as something that is either provocative or is racist. This other person has his or her own experience being a black person. So you must be able to draw the line and be able to understand in between the lines and in between, and know that, you know what, I might say this to this black person and it's cool, but this person will not accept it. White people, you need to understand racism. We black people have faced racism in so many different forms, and that has created so many ways of us to cope with it. We have created ourselves different coping mechanism because of so much racism. And racism is not something that started today. It's something that started a long time ago, from slavery, colonization, apartheid, segregation, and even what is still going on today. And those things, all these different forms of racism that black people went through, let me tell you something, we had to find a coping mechanism. And people cope with abuse or torture or pain in so many different ways. We don't have the same way. We all have different, our bodies, our ability to cope with things are different. And because it's different, that means that I have the right as a black person to tell you as a white person that don't say this word, don't do this thing in front of me, because it triggers me and it makes me see you as a racist, and it's a racist thing. It's not your job to tell me how, oh, I say this to my black friends, oh, I say this to my black colleagues, oh, I say this to my black partner, and it doesn't trigger them. Those people have their own lives. Those people have gone through different things in life. Those people see life in another way. Those people have experienced life in another way. Those people have dealt with life in another way. I am dealing with life in my own way. And in my own way might mean that this thing or this word or this action of yours is a trigger to certain things in my life. So if I tell you don't do this, don't say this, politely respect that and don't do it. Because a lot of you white people tend to be very defensive when they tell you that you're a racist. Oh, I cannot be a racist because I have black friends. I cannot be a racist because I have black colleagues. I cannot be a racist because I've dated black people in the past, or I'm dating a black person. Let me tell you something. You might be dating a black person, you have dated a black person in the past, you have a black friend, you have black colleagues, but it doesn't mean that whatever thing you say to those people or the things you do to those people, you can go around doing it to every black person you come across. No. You have to understand. You have to understand that that's not how it works, and that's not how it's supposed to work. Yes, those people in your life, they have their own experience, they have their own past, they have the way they deal with things in life. I have my own life. The black people you meet out there, they have their own life. They have their experience, the way they deal with things, the way they see things. So if they tell you, if a black person tells you as a white person, this word of yours, this action of yours is a racist thing, don't sit there and defend yourself. On the contrary, stop doing it. White people, you have to start learning to respect black people's opinion. Because you all want to make this thing of generalizing. Oh, if this one black person likes this thing, every other black person will like it. No, every other black person will not like it, because we all have different experience when it comes to racism. And we all have dealt with racism differently. Even if we have the same form of racism, or we experience the same form of racism, doesn't mean that we have to deal with the issue samely. White people need to start learning to respect black people's opinion. Yes, you cannot generalize every black person, or every black person must do this. Every black person cannot do the same thing. Every black person will not react to the same things the same way you want every black person to. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and as you comment and share your thoughts and opinion, always remember to be polite. Bye guys.